Alright, so this here is just a supplement question number 44 from homework 5 to show you how to do this button clicking in MyMathLab. So if you look over here, you can draw lines, you can do an absolute value tool, circle tool, it has various things here, but the ones we're going to look at are this one. If you hover your mouse over it, says logarithm tool, and all logarithms in their basic form have that kind of shape. They come up from the bottom, they swoop over to the right. And then exponential tools, they all look like that. They're flat at the bottom and then they shoot straight up into the sky there, going that way. So we're going to do both of these. We want to do 9 to the x. So I'm going to do the exponential tool first. And so one of the things I talk about in the earlier video is that every graph that's an exponential that's not been shifted goes through 0, 1. So we're going to go to 0, 1 here. And now you get to decide, does it have any stretch or compression? Stretch or compression occurs when you have, that's a weird thing. That would be like when you have 2 times 9 to the x or 1/2 times 9 to the x. Those are pretty uncommon. Now if we had vertical shift, if we went up and down, we might put 3 here. This, for example, let's just show you what that does. It moves that graph up 3 and the vertical asymptote goes up 3. You can kind of play with that just to see what it does. But in this case, neither one of these functions have any shift to them, and the base is not e here. They've given us e by default. Our base is 9, so we're going to change that e to a 9. Alright, and so now that adjusts our graph. And as I said back in the other video, one of the other videos, it goes through 0, 1, 1, 9, and it does in fact do that. And it's hard to tell it here, but it goes through -1, 1/9. Those are the 3 points we're looking forward. So this graph does that now. And you can reflect about the x-axis, and this is pretty cool to see what that means. It means we're going to flip and do a mirror image about this x-axis. And see, it just flips it back and forth over the x-axis. And this one doesn't have that, but you get that kind of a flip when you have a negative in front of the 9. You can reflect about the y-axis, and you see that's a perfect mirror image of the graph, and that occurs when you have a negative up in the exponent. So again, we're not flipped here or reflected in any way. We're just plain old 9 to the x. Alright? So there's 9 to the x. Now we're going to do the logarithmic graph of log 9 of x. So now we click that button. And its first point we want to place, instead of 1, 0, 0, 1, we do 1, 0. And likewise, this one is not stretched or in any way. There's no vertical shift, but you can shift horizontally and vertically as we saw earlier. You can reflect the same way we were just reflecting about those axes, but there's no reflection. And the base again is 9 for this graph. So change the e to 9. And so we go through the 3 points that we specified. There's a 1, 0, 9, 1. Over here we went through 1, 9. Remember the relationship flips, so we go through 9, 1. And then we go through 1/9, -1, negative. That one's kind of hard to see. But you do see the vertical asymptote here that goes where this function's trying to get to x equals 0 and it never will. And here this function's trying to get to y equals 0 and it never will. Alright, so those are the two graphs, and then we click save and we check our answer, and that's all that they wanted us to do.